Take your seats, everyone. We have a really big microphone tonight. All right. Welcome to your matriculation ceremony. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to start by calling upon our Vice President, Sarah Clift, who's also a professor in the Contemporary Studies program, to call our attention to where we are located and what follows from that in how we understand the ceremony that we're about to go through. Sarah?
Thanks, Bill. We would like to begin today's ceremony by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Mi'kmaq, Maliseet, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with the surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Maliseet title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. Now, as many of you know, Mi'kmaq History and Heritage Month will soon be upon us. And many of us in that context will be taking part in the activities and resources to honor and learn about the cultures of the first peoples of this place we now call, some of us quite recently, that we call home. The day before October 1st, Treaty Day, which marks the beginning of Mi'kmaq History Month, is the September 30th National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And I do, in that context, encourage you to participate in the many activities taking place all over Chibuktuk, or Halifax, on this day and throughout the month. Now, in a certain sense, I've just spoken of home, the place we now call home. But in a certain sense, all non-Indigenous peoples on this land are, to one extent or another, come from a ways, as Nova Scotians are fond of saying. And an important part, I would say, of being a come from away, from the point of view of reconciliation at least, is to learn how to become better guests on Mi'kma'ki. Now, preparing for today, I got to wondering what exactly matriculation means. It's kind of a resonant word. It's quite a beautiful word, so perhaps you did too. Now, a quick glance at the Oxford English Dictionary, that's what we academics do. We look in huge dictionaries. Confirms the most relevant meaning to what we're doing today. And that is the process, and I quote here, by admitting a student by inserting their name in a register, kind of obvious. But there are figurative senses as well. Matriculation as the act of enclosing or giving origin to something, or the place or medium where something is developed. Matriculation, we may say, is the ground upon which a network of relations are developed. Reticule, from reticulation, is one of my favorite words. It means a network. So what this says to me is that while we matriculate today by adding our names to the current and historical community of kings, and as we do that, we also matriculate on a particular ground, a land, or a territory. And in so doing, we enter into a network of concrete and embodied relations with one another. So in that context, perhaps it isn't quite enough to engage with reconciliation in abstract ways. Importantly, though those may be at the level of policy decisions, funding allocations, and the like. But perhaps the point is to try to ground those abstract engagements, political efforts, policy decisions, etc., in personal relationships. So reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in this country is a political project that will no doubt occupy us for generations. But let us also seek to help it happen every day between and among us as peers, mentors, and friends. Wilalin, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for those very wise words. Matriculation is an academic ceremony. It's a ceremony that looks forward to another academic ceremony, which is Enseña, which is what we call convocation or graduation here at King's. And so, like Enseña, we have had an academic procession, and we have a platform party of people representing the different parts of the university. So I'm going to take a moment and introduce you to the people who are with me here at the front of the auditorium. So at my immediate right is our Chancellor, Deborah Dean Little. Now, the Chancellor is the ceremonial head of the university. And at most universities, that means that students only meet the Chancellor for the few seconds that they're walking across the stage to get their degrees. But we have a very special Chancellor at King's who's fully engaged with the university and with our students. And we're thrilled that Deborah is able to be here with us tonight, along with her spouse, Bob Little, all the way from Windsor, Ontario, because they both wanted to be here as you experience this formal beginning of your journey towards your graduation in a few years' time. You've also just met, if you didn't already have a chance to meet, our Vice President, Sarah Cliff, my very close colleague. Sarah and I work together on just about everything. Sarah might be keeping some things from me, I don't know, but we work very closely together. And next to Sarah is Dr. Peter O'Brien. And I think most people here, not everyone, most people here today would have started the day with Dr. O'Brien, and now you're ending the day with Dr. O'Brien because he was your lecturer today in the foundation year program. Yeah, so in addition to being a past vice president of the college and a professor of classics at Dalhousie, Dr. O'Brien is our public orator. He's our person of beautiful words, and he will be walking you through your matriculation ceremony in a few moments. So in the second row, we have the marshal for tonight's proceedings. I'm sure you all know Dean Katie Merwin, a graduate of the university, someone who matriculated just like you. That's true for Dr. O'Brien as well. And next to Katie, someone else that I know some of you know very well, and maybe you all or most, at least FIP students, have a general sense of who Dr. Tom Kern is, representing faculty colleagues. I had noticed it very appropriately that Tom came carrying a very old book. Next to Tom is Patricia Chalmers, representing the library here tonight. And the library is the place that keeps the matricula in between matriculation ceremonies. Next to Patricia, in the purple regalia, close enough, is interim registrar Justin O'Hearn. And then finally, at the far right is Jen Thornhill Verma, who is here representing the alumni. And it's very, very appropriate and important to have an alumni representative at this event because, and we'll talk about this as we go through the ceremony, matriculation is not only about becoming a student of the college, but it looks forward to your lifetime membership as a member of the college, in other words, as an alumni. So I think it's time we get to the main event, and I'm going to call upon Dr. Peter O'Brien to come forward and oversee your matriculation oath.
Welcome to the ancient and solemn ceremony of matriculation, which marks your formal entry into the college as student members. This ceremony, a form of which has been celebrated for more than 2¼ centuries at King's and for many centuries longer at the great universities of England and Scotland, is named for the matricula, the large register, an example of which is in front of me, that will record your names. In a few moments, you'll be asked to recite an oath in Latin to express your desire to enter the college and your willingness to observe its traditions. We use Latin, the universal language of learning at the time of King's foundation in the 18th century and for many centuries before and after that, to remind ourselves that the community of scholarship we enter is larger than our own circle of friends, our college, and our country, as well as older, connecting us to the minds and spirits of generations past. Those minds and spirits are represented materially in our library, which houses the matricula, and their echoes are heard almost every day in this very room, where students can absorb, re-embody them, and give them new voice, accept them, reject them, or put them on critical probation in their conversations with each other and their tutors. In pronouncing a formula in a language once taken to be emblematic of universality and inclusion, we might reflect too on voices that have been left out, lost, or suppressed as we embark on a journey of learning that creates new knowledge in us, even as it makes us aware of what we don't or cannot know. So I'm going to project in a moment individual words and phrases of the Latin oath, and I'm going to ask you to repeat after me each word and phrase that I pronounce. So, you have the complete translation as well as the complete text in your programs. I can see you have them ready. So are we ready? All right. Ego. In universitate. Collegii regalis. Discipulus sancte policior me. Legibus pariturum. Traditionesque meliores. Eius culturum. Ita ut. Praeceptis eius. Convivendi. Eruditionesque oboidiam. Nec non et ipsius. Academiae et populorum. Ubique diversorum. Dignitatem atque. Salute quantum in me. Furet per reliquam. Vitam procuraturum. That was brilliant. So enthusiastic and so well pronounced. I think it probably worked. I think it probably worked. So I will say, scito vos in matriculum collegii hodie relatoros esse, et ad observandum omnia statuta hoc libro comprehensa, quantum ad vos spectant teneri, know that you will be today entered in the register of the college and are bound to observe all the statutes contained in that book as far as they concern you. Congratulations, and it remains for the president to seal the deal and formalize the oath that you just said. Thank you.
Yeah, applause might be in order. Okay, so I said last night that was the best I'd heard in 8 years. I thought, I didn't think, the standard set last night was so high, I didn't think it would be met possibly for years. And I think you folks are every bit as good as the group that was in here last night. That was really, really impressive. So, sealing the deal. You've made some pretty heavy promises, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those in a minute. And I'm going to accept them on behalf of the university. And before I do that, I'll just let you know that in my other life, I'm a law professor, and I know about something called offer and acceptance. And you've offered promises, and I'm about to accept them, and that means it's a deal, okay? So if you have any hesitations, you know the part of the wedding ceremony that said, does anyone has any reservations? Speak now. If you have any reservations about these big, heavy promises you've made, we'll pause for a moment and you can leave the room if you like before I proceed. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Okay, so this is my part of the ceremony. Actoro tate mea admito os discipulos in universitate nostra collegii regalis. Survete leges preceptique, foete traditionis eius preclaris. And as you know from your program, what I've done is I've exercised the authority bestowed upon me by the university to admit you as students of the University of King's College and importantly of our University of King's College. And I've asked you to keep its rules and precepts and to cherish its traditions. So you are now matriculated. I don't know, do you feel differently? Okay. You are now members of the college, and by now you've been welcome to King's multiple times, but now you're members of the college, and in Latin as well as in English. So I think, I know in fact, according to the statutes of our university, that's as official as we can get. Congratulations, and again, welcome to King's. It says on the program, on the back, the last page, that matriculation signals the joint commitment of the institution to the education of the enrolling student and of the student to their responsibilities as a member of the community. So I want to just take a few moments to reflect on the reciprocal nature of the commitments we have made to each other. According to the oath you have taken, and I know you've had a chance to read the translation, your responsibilities require your obedience to the regulations and the best traditions of the college. So that little qualifier, your commitment is only to the best traditions of the college, means something. And our public order was alluding to this. We are a university, a place of learning, questioning, debate, and re-examination, not just of the world outside of King's, but also of King's and its history and future. In the grand tradition, going back centuries, beautifully invoked by the public orator, a university is a community. And from its beginning, King's has always thought the greatness of a university lies in the greatness of the community that exists between and among those who belong to the university. To put it another way, the greatest of the traditions of King's is the one by which our very identity is defined by our mutual commitment in every generation and across generations to being a community defined by friendship, belonging, and our common mission of learning with and from one another. It is these themes, friendship, belonging, community, and learning together, that alumni of all ages speak of when they speak of what they cherish most in their memories of King's. The matriculation oath evokes these themes by calling on us to, quote, serve the precepts of communal life and learning. Remembering our communal life includes our many relationships with those around us. So you will decide what these precepts mean for you during your time here. Just the same, I urge you all and all of us to let kindness be your watchword. Extend the hand of friendship to those around you and take it when it is offered to you, so that all can enjoy that feeling of belonging that is the very fiber of what is now your university. Let your guiding star be a determination to do your part in ensuring that no one is left out or behind in the community that you will build with each other and with your upper year peers and everyone at King's. Let us together aspire to make this not only a friendly community, but a loving community. So all of this, I don't know, maybe doesn't sound very academic, but in my view, it is in combination with your studies and the rest of your life as students of the college, what you will be doing to prepare you for your future. You will have noted that your oath asks you not only to obey our best traditions, but also our regulations. That doesn't sound like much fun, does it? We do have rules, but I think of them as the commitments we make to each other through processes of self-governance that include students as well as faculty and staff and alumni at all levels. And I'm speaking specifically to how you are all represented by the King's Student Union in all the decision-making forms of the college. These commitments include not only our rules, but the principles, values, and practices we follow to keep each other and our community safe and healthy and inclusive for everyone. In this moment of our history, I want to stress that our commitments to each other include all we are doing as a community to prevent and respond to sexualized violence by creating a pervasive culture of consent and respect, building on all of the work of recent years, much of which has been led by students. Each of you has promised, I hope you noticed, to care for the honor and welfare of the college, and I quote, for the rest of my life. That sounds pretty serious. It's quite an extraordinary promise to have made, at least if you take it seriously, and I hope you do. The response I gave to you implies acceptance of your promise and also a reciprocal promise. In admitting you as students, the language is in our University of King's College, signifying that the university now belongs to you as much as it does to me, my colleagues, or the generations of students who have come before or will come after you. The language signifies that in addition to being students for a time, you are now members of the college for all time. So that's the alchemy of matriculation. In the spirit of that alchemy, the college must now and in the future live up to the commitments you have made to its honor and welfare. So on behalf of the college, I promise you the college's dedication to this responsibility of being worthy of the commitments you have made to King's and to the trust that you have placed in King's. Caring for the honor and welfare of the college is not the same thing as always praising and celebrating the college or being expected to always praise and celebrate, though I hope you do find much to praise and celebrate. Caring also requires criticism when criticism is due. And to paraphrase Sarah Sharp, one of our more recent valedictorians, caring for the welfare and honor of the college means understanding on the part of the college that criticism is an act of love. This means calling on the university to be better where it has failed or where it disappoints. This is and must be one of our best traditions, referred to in matriculation. This is very important as we prepare to observe the third National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, and as we reflect upon and work to improve our relationship with the Mi'kmaq people and all Indigenous communities, with the African Nova Scotia community, and with all belonging to any community who has felt themselves to be less than fully welcomed at King's. So we have made our promises to each other. To seal the deal, please take the next step of placing your signature in the matricula so that forevermore it will be clear to everyone that you were a student of our university and then continued as a lifetime member of our Collegii Regalis. You will find the matricula that is awaiting your signature. This, by the way, is the original matricula from the early 19th century. I think if you wanted on the way out to come by and have a look at it, if you haven't already done so, that might be a pretty cool thing to do. You will find the matricula for your signature with your name already waiting for your signature in the foyer of the Arts and Administration Building immediately after this ceremony. So I hope this evening is fun and even a little magical for you. On your behalf, I want to thank every one of the many who have had a hand in the creation of this ceremony and the reception to come and all the planning that goes into it. I want to specifically ask for a round of applause for Cameron, our piper, who elevates everything to another level altogether. I look forward to seeing you all at the reception to be held in your honor and in my home, the President's Lodge. And I'm very excited because for most of you, I think this will be the first time that I've had an opportunity to host you in the lodge. You can come to the reception after you have signed the matricula, or you can wait for the lineup for signing the matricula to abate, go to the reception, and then come back and sign the matricula a little later. If you, for any reason, don't get an opportunity to sign the matricula tonight, it will be kept in the registrar's office for, I understand, the next couple of weeks. And the registrar's office is right off the foyer of the A&A building. And then after that, you can make arrangements through the library to put your name in the matricula. And if you know anyone who hasn't been able to participate, the oath and everything works magically across time and space. Encourage them to come in and put their name in the matricula. So the President's Lodge, it's well marked, but I want to point out it's down the hallway off the foyer of the Arts and Administration Building, walking towards Coburg Road. And it'll take you down a winding hallway through the senior common room and another short hallway that leads to a door with a sign on it, President's Lodge. You can also get there by going out into the quad, past Cochrane Bay. You'll find a short flight of stairs up to a landing outside the chapel. You go to the end of that landing, there's a double door, and the President's Lodge is on the other side of that double door. And if you get lost, which I doubt you will, I think you know the college well enough by now, don't worry, there'll be a search party set out later, okay? So I just want to end by a note on the procession. We're going to process the platform party out of the hall, much as we would at other academic ceremonies. We're going to be led out by our chancellor, and we're going to do that to the tune of the pipes, and it would be appropriate for all of you to rise as we process, and that'll be good practice for what'll happen at your graduation, okay? Thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to enjoying the rest of the evening with you.